Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of VICast. VICast, short for VITEX Podcast, is a new series of podcasts that we are doing. With me today, we have Dallon. So Dallon, maybe you'd like to just say hi.
Hi, I'm back in this podcast, right?
Yes, welcome back. The topic of the day would be computer accessories. Our previous episode, we did a discussion on mobile accessories, where we talked about the different accessories, the different pieces of equipment that we sort of use with our smartphones, our tablets. And today we will be looking at the same topic, but now the focus here is on computers. What do we use with our computers? What do we have linked out to our computers in our daily lives? So yeah, this will hopefully be an interesting topic for you guys. Okay, so
I guess every one of us can share a little bit of our experience or like what we have in front of us right now, right?
yeah,
And what we
definitely.
use on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, but to give a bit of context first, I guess I would just share that I'm a screen reader user. So definitely that affects the types of accessories that I do use and that I do prioritize when I use my computer.
So
Yeah.
more context on my side, I'm a low vision user, right? So I use more vision enhancement tools. Well, I guess later we just dive a little bit more into the things we need. The things that we use or the things that we need is going to be very different from me and Hong Sen, I guess. I mean, it's not going to be very, very different, but there's a bit of difference here. Right?
Yeah, actually there's some diversion somewhere that goes without saying, of course. And let's make this interesting. Right in front of us, what are we using? Because both of us are recording with our computers. So maybe Dallon, you want to go first? What do you have right in front of you right now?
Okay, so right in front of me, I have a keyboard, a mechanical keyboard. It's rather noisy.
Right, there's a blue switch, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a blue switch.
Is it the traditional Cherry MX Blue or is it some like knockoffs?
That's a very good question. I have no idea because
Right.
these products are probably, I don't know how they advertise this, but they did say that this was not fully mechanical. I don't know. They say it's like I think either 80% mechanical or something along that line. I don't know. Okay, but anyways, it sounds cool. It's like when you type long stuff, your hand does get numb because it's a bit hard to press. Right, so that's a mechanical keyboard.
Yep.
I do have some Breeze stuff on the table as well, just for me to rest my wrist. I guess it's not really a computer accessory. It's just good to keep my posture.
Right.
I do have a monitor, a 27-inch monitor, and it's on top of a shelf to elevate its height. And I do have a pair of monitoring speakers. I believe these are from Christophery, right?
Oh,
And
Christopher, okay.
yeah, and of course there's this mic here, right?
What sort of mic are you using?
So I'm using the Audio Technica 2020 USB Plus, so it's a USB mic. I bought it about 2 years ago. And connecting it, there's a arm stand, and it's like a boom arm. Yeah, it's called a boom arm. So that's the mic. And I have, I guess, a wireless mouse. Because I'm a low vision user, I do need a mouse from time to time, right? But recently I sort of pivot to use more of a screen reader kind of thing because my eyes are just getting more and more tired. And because I'm using a desktop for at least my home set or at least what's in front of me, right?
Right.
I have a webcam. For most laptops, you don't need it because you sort of have webcam that comes with it. And of course, on the other table, I do have a laptop that I bring out with me. There's no way I can bring a desktop out of the house, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have in front of you?
I have in front of me my laptop. So this is a laptop that I'm using on a laptop stand. So it's lifted up. I kind of have a small work table. You know, we are recording this remotely in case you guys can't tell. I'm at home and so my work table here is a little bit small, so I need to be a bit creative. So I have a laptop, 16-inch laptop on a stand. And underneath the laptop I have my mechanical keyboard as well, and this is a full-size keyboard. Keyboards comes in all sizes. You have like your 60%, 65%, 75%, your TKL, which is 10 kilos, and also your full-size 104 or 108 keys keyboard. And so what I have is the full-size one, just for the sake of it, you know, since I have the real estate on the desk for it. Well, that's contradictory lah. I did say I have limited space, but I guess that's why, because I have this full-size keyboard here. It makes things nice to, because firstly the typing feedback is just great. This is a Cherry MX Clear switch, which is a little bit heavier than the Cherry MX Brown for those who might be aware. For those who might not be aware, mechanical keyboard switches comes in 3 types. There is the clicky one, which Dallon demoed for us earlier. Thanks, Dallon. So that's what a blue switch sounds like typically. You have a tactile switch, which means that it doesn't make as much sound, but there is still a bit of like tactile feedback to it. You can feel the bump when you hit the keys. And then there are linear switches, which are, just like, it's a smooth thing. Like, imagine pressing a lift button. And a tactile switch is kind of like a typical keyboard that you might find outside or say on the laptop keyboard.
What's your switch again?
It's a Cherry MX Clear. So
does it give you tactile kind of feedback, or does
it does give tactile feedback? Yes, it's actually a bit more tactile than a Cherry MX Brown. For those who may try those before, Cherry MX Browns are quite common actually. They are pretty light. So the MX Clear is a little bit heavier, and this is what it sounds like, just for the fun of it. So these are what the key sounds like.
I do like this sound more than my own one. I do go into meetings or calls with friends and like, why is your keyboard so noisy and rather distracting? When I first got it, I was like, I'm gonna get the loudest just because I feel like it.
It sounds cool and it feels nice actually. MX blue switches or clicky switches in general, they do feel nice. They do have that really strong feedback to it. I used to use one and then I found it's a bit noisy for my liking, and so this is a much better setup, I feel.
I guess in the future I'll probably change to something like yours because number one, it's not so noisy and it gives me that same feel. The feel when you're pressing down a key, you can't get it on a laptop keyboard. It's not so much lah.
Yeah. And to continue my desk tour, I have my microphone. So this is a Samsung microphone, the Samsung Meteor.
It's quite small and portable, right?
It's really small, yeah. And by default, it has a tripod built in, so it has legs that you can like unfold it and it stands by itself. But I have attached it to a mic stand that is height adjustable and you can pivot it. Basically, it's just this round stand for me to put my mic on, so I can lift it up higher. I invested in a USB microphone mainly because of last time I work from home. Zoom meetings are a thing and we were conducting a lot of Zoom sessions. For those who might not be aware, we do conduct quite a fair number of virtual remote sessions for our clients, and so I found this to be a worth it sort of investment.
Well, I guess I didn't share why I invested in a mic. Or microphone. I think it all started when I wanted to start my YouTube career, to become a YouTuber, right?
What's your channel name?
It's called Watermelon Dallon. It's dormant now, it's sort of dead. I didn't have the time to go and kind of keep it alive. But that was my starting point of getting it. I wanted to do podcast and do some covers and some tutorials, and that's why I decided to buy a good mic. Because when you do it on a earpiece kind of mic, how are you going to hold it while you are doing demonstration, right? And if it's far away from you, then it's going to sound very weird. Right. So that's why I invested in it. So let's continue. What other things you have on your table?
I just have a last piece of equipment which is a bit more rare. So this is what we'll call a DAC amp, DAC, digital to analog converter, and an amplifier all built in one. So the most simple way I can put it is that it's like an audio amplifier. It's a very solid unit. It has a volume knob to adjust, and it's also via USB. So I connect this via USB to my laptop.
Do you not have a hub or something to, you have so many appliances?
I do actually. So one of the key things when I buy a laptop, which this is not a laptop buying guide, but I do have a USB hub to connect my keyboard, my mic, and then I connect my amplifier directly to my laptop because I feel that it's just has more power from it. So when I buy a laptop, there's some of the things that I do look out for. And that still leaves me enough room for me to plug in my external hard drive when I need it, which I have somewhere in front of me to back up data basically. And so the DAC amp is a nice piece of equipment because I can connect my earphones and headphones to it. Some headphones don't really power very well with laptops. They might not sound their best. So I have a pair of HD 600s here from Sennheiser.
Wow, this is a good.
Sounds nice and it's comfortable. So I have always been using in-ear earphones. I guess the proper term for them is in-ear monitors. They are nice and all. I do have a pretty nice one. It sounds great, but sometimes you just feel a bit of discomfort. Or maybe you don't feel the discomfort, but once in a while you do feel a bit of soreness, or maybe you get a bit of like a, I won't say infection, but it's kind of like just some discomfort there lah, because it's a constant pressure. So this pair of headphones, it has like really nice ear pads and
Cloth one, right?
yeah, I don't know if it's correct, but it's velour. I think the term is velour. It's this very nice cloth, smooth cloth texture to it. Doesn't heat up a lot. One of the nicest pair of headphones I've used. It's open back for those who might be aware. So the back of the earphones is like a grill surface. And what that means is that there's a bit of sound leakage. So not great for isolation, but it sounds nice. It's comfortable. I can wear it for like throughout the work day and don't have the pressure in my ear canal, so it's nice. Yeah. So another piece of equipment that I kind of like invested in because work from home, and you know, if I work from home, I'm okay lah. No one in the room, right? So even if there's sound leakage or whatever, it's fine. I'm not going to disturb my colleagues beside me. So yeah, pretty.
That's good. Yeah, that's a
So,
good.
so that's kind of like a summary about the summary. Yeah.
So I guess let's zero into some of the things that
Yeah.
we think may be quite useful. For
Perhaps we talk about monitors first. I think monitors is something that I think for low vision users at least is a pretty crucial experience. So
Yeah.
maybe we want to
Then
share a bit
we
more
can-
about your experiences. How do you choose your monitor? Maybe you want to share what sort of monitors are good for you.
Okay, we can talk about that first, and then maybe after that we can talk a bit about Braille displays as well.
Yeah, the Braille equivalent of a monitor to Braille is.
Okay, so let's start off with monitors first. For monitors, I would say I'm not an expert to it. I'm still very new to it. I only learned a few terms along the way, but to be fair, this first ever monitor I got was not picked by me, it was picked by my parent. And I don't really have much experience on it. I would say it's a flat monitor, it's 27 inch. At the very initial stage, I just want a monitor that is large. I wanted a monitor that is able to fit my needs in terms of color contrast, how bright it can go.
Right, yeah.
And I guess I didn't really look into how the monitor can tilt, how high it can go. So that was something I didn't look towards. And I sort of regret lah, because it would be better if I can, instead of putting it on a static kind of shelf arrangement, I wanted it to be something that I can adjust when I need to. Because like, let's say if I were to change my piece of furniture, like, let's say if I were to change my chair, then that's where, you know, if it's at a static height and let's say the chair is kind of built to be a bit higher, then you sort of have to change it up a little bit. So that's one thing. I would look into like what kind of stand it has, whether it's adjustable in terms of height, whether it can tilt, whether it can pivot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think in terms of ergonomics, monitor is definitely important. So in our office, right, we actually have this monitor. It's a 34-inch ultra wide monitor, and it has this like really nice stand that can tilt, can pivot, is height adjustable as well. So it's pretty nice actually.
Yeah, so just now I mentioned curved monitor, right?
Yeah.
Mine is not curved lah, it's flat, but I would hope to get a curved one. I think I really like a curved monitor more than a flat one, but it really depends on your usage. I don't have vision on my right, but my vision on my left is sort of centered.
So I guess you use more of your central vision lah, rather than
Yeah.
the peripheral, right? Yeah.
So because of that, I do like the curved monitor because I don't really need to tilt my head much. I guess right now my sitting arrangement are more towards the left of the monitor. So when I want to look towards the right side of the monitor, I have to like turn my head all the way to the right. So that is one thing, right? Whether is it curved or flat. It depends on your vision, what type of vision. And I think one very important thing is when you get a monitor, you should always go down to the electronics store, go and try it out, ask for a bit of recommendation, but please try it out and see if it works. Don't just take recommendation from others and just buy, oh yeah, maybe this is good, I'll go and try. It's a long time investment. It's going to be something you use for like 2-3 years or 4-5 years even. And you're going to use it every day. So it's something to think about. Then there's also the different ports that the monitor offer. Whether it's HDMI, USB Type-C, maybe the Thunderbolt port kind of port, or is it the display port, whether is it the OVGA port. All these are things to take note, because sometimes monitors, they may or may not come with the cables that you need, and most modern laptops nowadays comes with a HDMI connector.
Yeah. And there are two things to look at there. Of course, like what type of ports the monitor has is important, and also some monitors do have like USB pass-through, so they can act like a USB hub by itself. If that's important to you, then yeah, sure. But I'd like to say that in terms of connectivity to your computer, be it a desktop or laptop, one key thing to also consider is a cable, because you might be able to get like a HDMI to USB Type-C cable and so on and so forth. So the cables definitely do play a part as well. And HDMI do have like multiple standards. We won't really go too much into that because that's not really vision related. So, HDMI 2.1, HDMI 2.0, DisplayPort 1.4, these are all the different standards. And what sets them apart is in terms of resolution, in terms of also refresh rate. How many hertz does the monitor run at, and how many hertz can it take in?
I don't know how refresh rate is going to help a low vision user. I don't think it will help
I
as
think
much. It's more for gaming, right?
typically just like normal interface stuff, it's not going to play a very big deal because and I think most monitors can hit 60 hertz just comfortably enough, and that's good enough.
And the important thing is, in terms of monitors, right, there's also different types of display kind of formatting, right?
Yeah, and in terms of display technology, there's like different types of display technology. So I guess there is your LCDs. We call it LCD monitors because that's the name of the technology behind it. But it could be IPS, it could be VA, or it could be a OLED
as well?
display. They all have their pros and cons in terms of, say, response time, which is again not really important to us, probably, unless you get like a really cheap one that's I don't know. But if you do get a pretty reputable monitor, I think it's fine, from a reputable brand like, say, Acer or Dell or HP or LG. LG do make pretty good monitors.
Yeah, I think mine is an LG monitor.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, so that list is not finite. I'm not saying that if you buy a monitor that's not in that list, that means it's not good. But as Dallon has shared, it's best to just go down to the shop, give it a try. Does it suit your eyes? Do you want a flat monitor or a curved monitor? Do you want a standard 16:9 monitor, a 16:10 monitor, which is taller, or ultra wide, which is 21:9? So those are aspect ratios. How wide or how tall the monitor is. Then yeah, we talk about display technology. Just to give a really quick summary in terms of what we have heard from clients and just people in general. LCD monitors may have lower contrast when you compare them to OLED monitors, because OLED monitors, they just have higher contrast in a sense. So I guess for some people that would make a difference. Now, for OLED monitors, there were also reports from, I guess, clients that there could be flickering issues that
and could cause them a headache.
Headaches and discomfort. So something to really keep in mind when you buy the monitor for yourself. So to sum up, I guess, is the ergonomics of the monitor. What sort of stand does it have? In fact, I would like to share that you can actually get your own stand. Let's say you find that actually I don't like the stand that comes with the monitor because it's very basic. You can pay extra to get a more versatile stand for your own use. So there's the ergonomics. Height. So how high or how low the monitor can be adjusted. Tilt, which is a monitor tilted forward or backwards. Pivot is actually something that is more adjustable. I guess you can just turn the whole monitor, but in case you have some limitations in terms of your desk real estate, whether you can turn the monitor left to right. So that's like on a flat plane, and clockwise or anti-clockwise sort of directions. One thing I want to mention is also some monitors, you can turn it physically into a portrait layout. So it's a very tall display, which might help with reading, I suppose. Yeah. So that's one other option to consider in the stand. Then we talked about the sizes. Well, we didn't really go into so much in the sizes, but Dallon has shared that he has a 27-inch monitor, and then we shared in the office, we do have a 34-inch monitor, which is wider. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dallon, but I do believe that 34-inch monitors, the one that I have in the office, is actually almost the same height as the 27-inch monitor, but it's just wider, right? Because it's ultra wide.
I think so, actually. I think so, yeah.
So the numbers sounds like it's huge, but actually it's not. It's just that it grew sideways. It could be nice because you could do like multitasking and you could put multiple windows together, and so you can fit more on the screen. and it could just be more content on the screen, and because it is curved and in terms of the field of view, it might be more comfortable for some people, with their vision conditions. It's a cool monitor lah, nonetheless. It's for movie watching and such. It's really immersive.
Yeah, so we have
yeah.
talked about monitor for
Yeah.
quite a while already. We mentioned that we were going to talk about Braille displays.
Yeah.
Maybe you can share a bit more, Hong Sen?
So I used to use a Braille display. I still have one around somewhere. A Braille display is really useful because it allows the Braille reader or the user to be able to read whatever that is output on the computer display or through the screen reader in Braille. What is Braille? Braille, I guess for those who may not be aware, is like a writing system for someone with visual impairments or someone who reads Braille. So it's a combination of dots. It's a matrix of 6 dots.
You
2
will
columns
see
or
it-
3. Yeah.
You'll see it often in lifts, or where else will you see it? Lifts, I guess?
Sometimes I think BCA do have guidelines for like toilet signages. So in newer buildings, you
Yeah,
might see.
handicapped toilets.
Yeah. I know Funan Mall has it. I do believe that the new Thomson East Coast Line MRT stations, outside the toilets, they do have Braille signages as well. So we do see more of this Braille out and about. And I just like to share that, yeah, like I said, Braille is more of a reading/writing system. It's not a language on its own. So even with screen reading technology, it does not really replace Braille in that sense, because listening to something and writing something is different. That is perhaps something that we can talk more about in the future. It's a pretty interesting topic, but now we do see more of a push of like, oh, there's no need to learn Braille because we have voiceover, we have talkback, we have JAWS, we have narrator. Why do we need to read Braille, which is so much slower? Why? Let me answer that for you now. Because Braille, in a way, allows you to perceive text in a more detailed way. When you hear a sentence read out by a screen reader, it just goes, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. But are you sure I spelled brown as B-R-O-W-N? Because if I spell as B-R-A-U-N, you should say something like brawn, depending on the voice that you use. Fox, how do you spell fox?
FOX?
F-O-X, F-A-U-X.
Oh,
Depending on the voice that you use, it could be read out differently. So the point here is that Braille allows you to read the same way as how others are able to see the text on the screen, which is to say it is letter perfect, shall we say, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
It's great for applications such as coding, programming, whereby it's very important to have your case
Syntax.
sensitivity correct, your syntax, your punctuation, things like your spacing. Because one extra space in a line of code could break it.
Or
Like
one missing punctuation. could
Or
break it
one
as well.
mistyping, one typo error could just like make the whole app stop working, for example, on the page, to make the web page not display properly. So it's important, and that's primarily why I started using Braille when I was in school. I did my diploma in IT and I started exploring using Braille display for coding, and that was really helpful. Not that Braille is the best thing and everyone should go and learn Braille today, because Braille do have a disadvantage, which is to say that it's slower. I can hear JAWS much faster than I can read Braille on the Braille display. To be fair, Braille display is a mechanical device that displays Braille by raising and dropping the pins to form the Braille characters. So as we have shared, Braille is like this matrix of dots, right? It's a combination of multiple dots, 1 to 6 dots that could be displayed in different combinations, which forms a letter. And what happens here is that Braille displays are expensive. They are really expensive. Because a cheap display might cost as much as an expensive laptop, a decently good laptop. An expensive Braille display might cost the amount that you pay for multiple laptops. We are talking about like 6K, that kind of thing.
That's a lot.
It's expensive and it's a bit slow lah, compared
And
to just
it's
using a screen
also
reader.
limited in terms of the cells. Because
Correct.
there are some with shorter cells, and shorter cells means you can only read a certain amount of words at a certain period of time.
Yeah, and it's also one line at a time. Now we are on the verge of having multi-line Braille displays. I don't even want to think about how much those things cost, but yeah, just think about it, like 140 cell Braille displays, which means that it's only one line and it's only 40 characters across. That could cost you like 5-6K, depending on what manufacturer you bought it from, what brand, what country. Could get cheaper, could get more expensive. I think the cheaper ones are like maybe 2-3K. like possibly that's a lower end one. Yeah, so still pretty expensive.
Yeah, I guess I can buy a lot of monitors from there, huh?
Yeah, and they don't last forever as well. They need to be maintained. They need to be kept well.
They need to
so
be
forth.
placed in certain environments.
Yeah,
as
not
well.
not too humid, and you can't
Yeah.
touch it with like dirty hands.
Or
yeah.
wet. The moment
Yeah.
it touches water, it's gone already.
So yeah, the underlining technology is rather expensive. So it's something that is nice, but it's something that not a lot of people would really want to invest into lah. But it's nice to know, nice to have. For some lines of work, it's more crucial than others. So it depends on what your use case is. Of course, if you would like to know more about Braille technology and monitors and whatever we are going to share next, do feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk to you about it, to give you
Hey.
more advice.
Yeah, we have rambled on for
Yeah.
the past 10-20 minutes. I don't know.
On monitors and on
display.
displays. So that's the display side of things. Keyboards we sort of covered just now. I just want to briefly run through. We actually talked. I think we did talk about this during one of our previous online sessions on a computer buying guide. Keyboards comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. So as Dallon has shared, you could get like an external number pad. You could get a full-size keyboard like what I did. In terms of laptops, when you buy a laptop, you could get maybe a smaller, more compact laptop that has a smaller keyboard. I'm sure that's not why you bought the laptop, for the smaller keyboard, but
Yeah, so
you know.
I guess the last time when I bought a laptop, it's more of like a smaller laptop, right? Because I wanted it to be light. But then I realized the performance was not very good. Then it caused me to go and buy external numpad, like I shared in one of our sessions. So that's why I bought the external numpad, and I guess that's also why I did not buy a full-size keyboard for my computer setup, because I already have an external number pad, and
Right.
when I need it, I just need to plug it in, it'll work.
Yeah. And so for laptops, 13, 14 inches laptops, typically you have like a, I won't say half-size keyboard. They're more like in keyboard speak, we'll call it maybe 75%, 80%, or maybe even an 87 key or 10 keyless keyboard style. So you do lack some of the keys, like dedicated home and page up, page down keys, maybe a dedicated insert key even. So as Dallon has shared, his Asus VivoBook previously did have the
Yeah, it
insert
has an
key.
insert key.
Yup.
It does. So the top row was something along the line of power button, then the delete key, then the insert key, then probably a print screen button, and then all the function keys, F1 to 12. which
Yeah,
escape,
right.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So if you go for a larger laptop, like a 15.6 or 16-inch or even 17-inch laptop, you may most likely have a keyboard with a dedicated numeric pad. Either a 3-column numeric pad or 4-column numeric pad. 3 columns means it's a more compact size. 4 columns is like a standard number pad that you see on a full-size keyboard. I'm sure we are familiar with those. You know, in that sense, you do have all your access to all those keys. Why is a number pad important? Honestly, it's not important. At least the number pad part of it is not that important, but it's nice to have because some of the screen reader commands are easier to activate with the number pad. There are additional functions on the number pad that just makes life a lot easier. And some modes, if you set your screen reader to desktop layout, which most of us do because I feel personally it's more intuitive, there is a dedicated laptop layout, but I kind of feel that in that configuration, the keystrokes are more jumbled together. It's usable still, you do you. If you like that, it's fine. But if you do prefer your desktop layout for your screen readers, then do consider getting either an external keyboard to use at home, and maybe outside it's not so crucial. You can use a 13-14-inch laptop keyboard. So at least you do get the best of both worlds, or just go ahead and get a larger laptop.
Yeah.
So I did share earlier that I do have a larger keyboard with all my keys already. I don't actually need my external keyboard, but it's a nice to have, you know, the feel of it, the sound of it.
Yeah, like I mentioned just now, you can't get the same experience on a laptop keyboard. Okay, imagine your laptop keyboard starts having clicking noises like this.
You don't have to imagine. I think they do sell it.
They do?
Yeah, I used to have an Aftershock keyboard with a blue switch. It's really clicky.
Okay, I guess I don't
Yeah,
need to
they
mention.
do, and I think Dell or under their Alienware brand, they do sell some laptops with mechanical switches that clicks. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so keyboards.
That's keyboards. Won't go too much into that. Can I just say that Braille Display, just like I mentioned, they usually do have a Braille keyboard as well. So if you prefer the Braille Usually, I don't really hear people saying that they prefer the Braille over typing on the QWERTY keyboard. But yeah, you can use your Braille keyboard to do navigation stuff and to type for a bit. So that's something to consider. Talking about QWERTY keyboard, I don't really think we want to go much into this, but other than the QWERTY layout, there are other layouts as well that makes it more like ergonomical keyboards that has a different layout. So there are
Hey,
those.
actually, yeah, you talk about ergonomic keyboard, right? I did have experience to try out ergonomic keyboard before.
Yeah.
I think it was still in the layout that we are used to, right?
There are some with a different layout altogether. I don't remember what's the term now.
Okay, really.
Yeah, that's like totally different.
I mean, I do like
Yeah.
ergonomic keyboard actually because it sort of forces you to use your normal fingering.
Yeah, you
It
do have
forces
like
you.
QWERTY keyboards in the ergonomical layout. Microsoft do sell those. Then you have those that uses like a totally different layout altogether. So yeah, Dvorak. I think the term is there's a Dvorak keyboard. I have never seen one before, but anyway, it's supposed to make typing easier, more efficient.
I hope that I don't have to buy a new keyboard and realize I bought the wrong layout. That would really be a bit problem.
Yeah, but to be fair, QWERTY makes out like most of the keyboard markets, so I don't think it's that easy. Unless it's not so easy to make an error on that side of things. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but thanks for putting that up front. I may not know, and I think
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of things that even I myself can take home today, lah. Right?
Yeah, I
But
mean
that's for keyboards and displays.
that. Yeah, keyboards and displays and
And I did mention.
audio. You want to talk about audio?
Okay, audio side of things you did mention about your HD 600 with an amp. I kind of left out the fact that I have an amp as well, a DAC. Right?
A DAC amp.
It's just a small.
I mean, there are like DACs, dedicated DACs and dedicated amps, which is like separate units. Then there are like those two-in-ones one. Personally, I just got mine because it's just convenient. I just one thing on my table. And
Yeah.
it doesn't need like external power. Some DAC amp or some DACs and amps require like external power to power them because they just take so much power to power your more not so efficient headphones.
So I do have one smaller, and well, it has the volume knob thing and does have a gain switch and a bass boost. Not bad.
Mine has as well. Yeah.
And just now I mentioned about my speaker, right?
Yep.
My speaker sort of act like an amp by itself as well.
Yeah, I think they are active speakers, right? So they are powered. Right?
Yeah, so they are powered, so you do have to power it through a wall plug.
Yeah.
Right? And there's two knobs at the back, right?
Right.
One to control boost and one to control the volume. But the volume is at max lah, so
Okay. Do you use any sort of like headphones yourself, or earphones, whatever?
yeah. So right now I'm wearing a headphone, also an open back one. It's the HD 599.
Sennheiser as well, right?
Yeah, Sennheiser. So it's just one before you, right?
Not
Is that how it
quite.
works, or-
So the 600 came first. The 600 is actually a really old model.
Oh, it's old. And why is it 599 last than 600?
I don't know.
Anyways,
Sennheiser's naming is a little bit interesting sometimes. So this HD600 was released in 1997.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I mean this is obviously not the original one because they have kind of like revamped it. Not revamped it, but it's a different enclosure and everything. So it's not the same as the. For those who may have seen the older HD600s, this one is a bit different. I don't know when they actually changed to this new shape. Feels a little bit different. Quite a lot different actually.
So
The
that's
599s are
headphone.
actually a newer model. They released a few years ago, and I do believe they have a wider sound stage. Maybe a bit shallower, but wider, and also I think better bass response. That's typically what I found to be the case lah.
Yeah, I guess we can kind of have a topic to talk a little bit more about the headphones or audio card aspect, and that's
Yeah.
where we can drive a bit deeper. Like how we mentioned on the previous podcast, we're going to talk a bit more about truly wireless and stuff. That could be a topic for another day, because if we go on, then this podcast will probably last for 3 hours. Nobody wants to listen to a 3-hour podcast, I believe. So if we get back on track, we talk about audio and talk a bit about mics. There's one last thing, right? Could be it's a mouse for low vision users.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think I need like a very, very good mouse. I just need a mouse that kind of can move when I need to see certain things. So right now I have this Logitech mouse. I bought it on Challenger just a few weeks ago. I used to use a wired one, but the wire was kind of constrained under my tissue box on my table, so I decided to switch it out to a wire, kind of like the one with the USB dongle. For mouse, there are a few types. There's the USB dongle one, there's the Bluetooth one. And mouse, apart from the left click, right click, and scroll up, scroll down, there are some mouse with side buttons can help you to toggle from one page to another. Like the bottom side key could help you toggle to the previous page, and the top side key could help you to toggle to the forward page, the next page. So that's for mouse, right? I think
I'm just wondering for mouse, do you look into like say how heavy the mouse is? Does it affect the ergonomics, the shape, the size of it?
Yeah,
You know?
so size is one thing. I change my mouse quite often because sometimes I just don't like it after a while. It's a bit of a waste of money, but like I used to have small mouse that I bring around with me, a smaller one. I'm okay with a smaller one, and I don't really like very huge mouse. I just want something that I can grip and just move. But it does help lah, in terms of the size, the weight. The heavier it is, it could pull better traction lah, right?
Yeah,
And I
but
have
I also heard that for gaming, which I don't know if you game, but like for gaming use, lighter mouse is easier to control.
Okay, I think it really
Yeah.
depends on users as well, because
Yeah.
for low vision users, when we move our mouse from left to right, we want as stable as it gets.
Yeah, I would imagine you don't want it to go like
Yeah, so if
your
you-
mouse
if you-
pointer to go zooming across the screen,
Yeah.
just like when you flick it.
Yeah, exactly. So that is why it's good to get a heavier mouse with lesser traction sometimes, but not something that does not really move. Last time I used to have a glass table surface, and moving a mouse on a glass table surface is as good as it doesn't move sometimes because glass, right? It's
Yeah.
not smooth. You need something like a smoother kind of texture. So I do have a mouse pad with a wrist rest. It cost me maybe about $9, and it's quite good for its use. I'm able
Yeah.
to use my mouse as smooth as it can get. So that's for mouse.
One more thing about mouse, does the DPI matters? Because like you have those like really high DPI mice,
Maybe you can share the crowd what's DPI.
So I guess it's how sensitive the sensor is. Like say when you move, DPI is, I believe the term is dots per inch.
I think it
hope I'm-
does matter actually.
I hope I am not getting it confused. I hope it's the same term as the one we use for displays. But basically the idea is that the sensors, how sensitive is the optical sensor at the bottom of the mouse. Like, say when you move across like 1 inch, how many dots are there? Like it goes by 12,800, 5,000, 3,000, 20,000 kind of thing. So again, from the mainstream perspective, of course, a higher resolution mouse means you can do more precise action. Like when you just slide that 1 or 2 mm, it means that, oh, okay, that's like really precise control of it. So I'm wondering, because we talked about the weight of the mouse earlier, would this also affect low vision usage of a mouse? Would a higher sensitivity mouse be too sensitive, or do you look for something that is lower sensitivity because it's easier to control?
I may look for something with lower sensitivity, because the high sensitivity means if your hand shakes a lot, like
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly,
the
right.
older you get, you tend to shake your hand a bit, right? So when that happens, you may want something that does not react to that. Like if you have a more sensitive mouse, that could be a problem, right? Because as you're trying to read, if your hand were to shake, then your screen will shake along with it.
Yeah.
And that would be a bit of a problem, because then you cannot really read.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine like Logitech, usually they do have this software to kind of like tune it up and down. So if you are going for higher end mouse, you probably can adjust that through the Logitech software.
Yes.
For other
yes.
brands like Razer and I don't know, Microsoft, I'm not sure if Microsoft do make that type of mouse, but I would imagine that they have this utility to control it.
In the computer, you also could control your mouse tracking speed, and
Yeah.
I think that's also an important thing to have. You should adjust the speed to kind of fit how you move your mouse. Because for low vision users, you use things like Windows magnifier, right? And you're going to read from left to right. How fast you read is equal to how fast you were to move your mouse and how much you can capture per movement. So that's
Okay,
something
yeah.
important to kind of note as well. In terms of-
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
so I think we covered a huge range of things, like what we have, what we used. It may not be very, very clear for some of the listeners. If you want to know more from our own personal experience, you want a discussion to discuss what's good for you, you want some thoughts process that we can offer, then feel free to kind of let us know. I think we will be more than willing to share with
Yeah.
you.
Definitely. Just reach
Because-
out to, if you want to reach us, just reach out to any one of us. I guess some of you guys do have our direct contacts. If not, just reach out to anyone at GDS. Your message would reach us one way or another.
I think that is quite a long podcast, so I would like to thank all of you. If you all stayed all the way until here, Thanks so much for listening to our views, our opinions, and some of our explanation that may or may not be very, very clear. But you can do some research yourself as well. And if you do not understand certain things, we'll be glad to lend you a hand in the area.
Yep,
Because it's a
definitely.
bit hard for us to sum all these things, and we may use terms that is new to you.
Yeah, we try to make this as beginner friendly as possible, of course, but some of these things I feel that we did go a little bit technical into it. For that, I do apologize because we do want to cover as much ground as we can, lah, and we are trying to balance it with the right duration of a podcast like this. How long do you want to sit here to listen to two guys talking?
Of course, do let us know, right? Give us some feedback, and we can try to alter this thing to kind of fit to how comfortable you guys are. If you all feel that is supposed to be shorter, we should cover lesser depth or whatnot, or maybe we should split it up, then maybe you can let us know and we can see how to work things out.
Yeah. So again, thanks very much for your time. Thank you for tuning in.
We'll see you in the
next episode. And if you're on a platform that allows you to do so, please like and subscribe. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you again. Have a good day /night/afternoon, everyone. Goodbye.